Hello and welcome to our Year 4 Literacy Workshop. It's lovely to see you, albeit slightly differently this year. We love having you in to work with the children. We are going to miss that, but we wanted to give you the same resources and opportunities to support your children that we normally do. So we've put together a lovely pack of really exciting resources, and all the resources inside here will support your children with reading and spelling, but also with writing and RSC at home. The things that are in here, the children use on a daily basis, so they're used to using them. They've had a look through the packs with us, they know what's in there. So if you've watched this and you're still not sure what to do, I'm sure your children will be able to tell you. But there's lots of lovely goodies. When you've finished watching, don't forget to come into school and pick your pack up, or we'll send it home with your child. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Mrs. Watkins.
And I'm Miss Furs.
Okay, so the purpose of this session is really to give you some ideas. Very often parents will say to us, how can I help them develop their reading at home? How can I help them with their spelling? They say spelling time again, so the pack is designed for those things we've really asked you to help them with. And at Parents' Evening, all three teachers I think have said, please can you help them with their reading, help them with their spelling, that will help with everything else. The goodie bags, like I said, will be coming home to them, and the children are really used to using these activities, so they should be able to tell you a little bit more. It's going to also show you at the end some of the online tools that we use that your child has access to at home. Not in the pack, but something we wanted to just highlight was the importance of speaking with your child. I think Miss Furs and I both know as busy parents, when we get home, that moment you walk through the door and there's 1,000 questions and 1,000 things your child wants to tell you, it's really easy to say, not right now, in a minute. And sometimes children have to learn to wait. That's absolutely fine, but it's making time to listen to your child, to talk with your child, to also ask your child questions, to get your child to ask you questions. And also, when you're talking with your child and you ask them to do something, you tell them to do something, it's giving reasons for your decisions, so that also helps them to develop their vocabulary. Get them to give you reasons when they want to do something. Well, why do you want to do that? What's your reason for it? Persuade me, you know, and sometimes then they'll come up with a really great argument and you may have to give in. But it opens up that conversation, and especially by Year 4, the children are really ready for a little bit of investigative conversation, and that's what you can do for us at home. Also, it's the bedrock, it's the basis of everything else they will do. So their reading, their writing will come from RSC. If they've got a really rich vocabulary of words, they're going to find reading easier, they're going to find writing easier, and also it's challenging them. It's giving them words sometimes that they don't understand. Can they find that answer out somewhere? You can explain that, that word to them, and they've got an extra word when they come in. They love it when they come up with a word in the class that we may not have heard before, but they've come up with something that they've investigated and looked, so those words are great. So if you could help them with that, that would be fantastic.
So reading with your child is so important. Having that time to read with them every day is essential. Here I've just sort of listed some of the proven benefits of reading. They're numerous and they should not be overlooked. Firstly, reading, practice makes perfect in everything that we do, and reading is no exception. So the more they read, the better they become at reading. Exercise is important for all our muscles. Our brain is a muscle, and exercising our brain is vital. And reading is one of those great ways to exercise your brain. It strengthens and builds those new neural connections that you need. It improves concentration as your children progress through the school. They will be required to concentrate for longer periods of time, and reading and being able to sit there and read a book or read to somebody helps with those concentration skills. It teaches children about the world around them, things that they wouldn't normally get a chance to...
That's okay. Things they wouldn't normally get a chance maybe to experience.
Yes,
they
right,
can experience through a book, can't they? When they can
Just
jump
stop
in.
it and then start again, because we can just edit that bit out. So just go back
Start
to
the whole bit?
no, just go from where the sentence.
Okay, fine, thank you. Okay, so reading also teaches the children about the world around them. Things that they wouldn't normally experience, they get to experience through books. It improves their vocabulary and their language skills, which like Mrs Watkins said, with oracy, these skills go hand in hand. So if they've got a rich vocabulary, it helps with their oracy skills. And reading also teaches the children about the world around them, things that they wouldn't normally experience, they get to experience through books. It improves their vocabulary and their language skills, which, like Mrs Watkins said, with oracy, these skills go hand in hand. So if they've got a rich vocabulary, it helps with their oracy skills. Reading develops a child's imagination, it helps them to experience and develop their empathy through understanding how people feel in books. It is fun. It's one of those things that a book or an e-reader is very small, you can take it with you anywhere you want to go and you'll never be bored. You know, I hear children say all the time they're bored even on car trips, and children don't know how to be bored these days, but a book or an e-reader is a great way to help with that boredom. It's a great way to spend time together. It's important. We know you've got busy lives, you know you work and it's hard to get that time. So if you want that quality time together, sitting and sharing a book or a bedtime story is a great way to spend time together. And not just literacy, reading promotes achievement across all subjects in the curriculum. So it's really, really important. Read as much as you can with your children.
And it is, isn't it? It's that little bit where sometimes they're reading to you, but also you reading to them is still vitally important. When we were talking about all the words and the experiences they get from books, sometimes they are tired and you go to do that bit of reading at the end of the day and they're just not in the mood. And in those days, it's okay for you to read to them. We would love the fact that you'd be reading to them anyway, but you reading to them is really helpful to develop that vocabulary. It's also a time to just share with them, a quiet time, and you can ask them questions about that to find things out. So it's a great opportunity.
It's brilliant. Okay, so here's a poster that I put on just to show how much reading goes to helping your child build up that rich vocabulary. So we've got here student A who reads for 20 minutes a day, and those 20 minutes a day soon add up to 3,600 minutes in a year, which is 1.8 million words read a year, compared to a child who reads 1 minute a day, who would only get to read 180 minutes a year and would only read 8,000 words a year. So it really is essential for building vocabulary, for helping with spelling, helping with oracy.
And the writers, when they've got 1 million plus words, have so many more words.
And that's just in a year, so think of the end of a school lifetime. It would be a lot of vocabulary. So, in your pack, you will receive some great prompts to help you to question your children as they go through their reading. There is a list of suggestions here for ideas that will help you get the most out of your reading sessions, and some great templates to make reading cubes. We use reading cubes in school. They're great for questions for before, during and after, and they have some vital questions for just getting that started. So they're in your pack, you need to cut them out and make them, but once you make them, then you'll be able to use them again and again.
And we've just got a short
We have got a video of a couple of children using the cubes to show you how they do it.
Ooh, this looks like a good book. I better roll this dice and see what it lands on. Who is the author? Roderick Hunt.
We don't have a first newspaper in your packs, but we are able to share the first newspapers digitally with you, some of them, and you can subscribe to them. These are a great resource that we do use regularly in school, and sharing the news is important. Okay, so our first newspapers, it's a weekly newspaper for children. It keeps children up to date with current affairs, and it's pitched in a way that isn't scary. They have some great happy stories, they've got great entertainment, and they've got funny stories in there as well, and plenty of stories about animals, and children love
their favourite
to read stories about animals. But we have included in the pack some questions and activities that you can use with the First News newspapers, which, as I said, even though you don't have them in the pack, they are available online and you can subscribe to them yourself.
Okay, next slide please.
In your pack as well, you will have 2 comprehension cards. So comprehension is all about that understanding. So even when children read to you, it's important to know, that's why we get the questions, important to know that they are understanding what they are reading, they're not just reading words. So you will have these reading comprehension cards. They are, there's a variety of them, fiction, non-fiction, and they cover those who, where, what, when, why questions.
And they're dry wipes, so in your packs you have also got a dry wipe pen, so the children can actually write on the cards, rub them out and use them as many times as they want. So they're great for that. Next slide, please. So we're moving on now to helping your child with spelling. I'm sure as a parent there's been lots of times when you've said, now it's time to do spelling practice, and you've heard that groan and it's, oh, the same way again, write a list of words, can I remember how to spell them? In school we use the spelling menu. Now the spelling menu is in your pack, both sides of it, and on here there are in fact 35 different ways that children can practice their spellings. One of our children's favourite is 18 down here, which is writing in bubble letters. They love that, especially if it's in coloured pens and coloured pencils. They're practicing their spellings, but they feel like they're drawing. Very often they don't realise that. They also love this pyramid writing, which is great because it breaks the words up, firstly into the letters, but then also they see the sounds as they build up through the words. These they use each week in their guided group reading sessions to develop their spelling, so they'll be used to them, but they absolutely love using these, and it's just something nice when you're thinking, right, spelling practice, pick one off here. It's something a little bit more interesting for you to do with them. We're now going to watch a short video of two children having a go at using the spelling menu.
Annabelle, let's practice our spellings. Our spellings again! Don't worry, Annabelle, we've got our spelling menu. Which number do you want to do? What about 18? Bubble letters, they're my favourite. Okay.
Also in your pack, you have a game called a Boggle board game. Now this game is fantastic for both reading and spelling. It does it all really in one go. The children love it. Again, they have it during guided group reading, so they're used to seeing it. The aim of the game is to use the board and build as many words as they can in a certain period of time. It says 2 minutes, but you can set that at whatever time you want to as a family. If you play it in the true sense, you should find the words in order. They can go backwards, forwards, diagonally, up, down, so B-E-S-T, best. However, we sometimes play it with, you've got 10 minutes now, make as many words as you can using those letters. The only rule is, if the letter's not there, you can't use it. If it only appears twice, you can only use it twice in your words. And then they come up with some fantastic words. It really challenges them. The game is a paper game in your packs, but it's also available online. You can look at Boggleboard, it's a free online game, and it's also a fantastic stocking filler. You can get this on many sites. I don't think I should mention the ones, I'm not promoting them tonight, but small board game, shake it up. I know that my teenager still gets this out when it's a family game. Out comes the Boggleboards, and I feel like I'm in school again. But she loves it.
Yes. And
Absolutely
again,
loves
it's a small, it's not very big, you can take it with you anywhere.
It's great for travel actually and
Yeah.
holiday. It's a really good, it comes on holiday with us as well. So we're just going to watch a short clip of some children playing this game.
Riley, how should we practice our spellings today? I know. Let's play that fun game called Boggle. We can find as many words as we can. Okay, let's start. Riley, guess what? I found the cause. And it has 7 letters and I got 5 points. Cool.
Also in your pack to help children with writing is this sheet here, which is called I-Spaced. Now the children are only introduced to I-Spaced in year 4, and this really helps them with creative writing. The pack mainly this time is about reading and spelling, but you will have those children who love writing at home, they love doing a bit of creative writing, and this will just give them some different ways to start their sentences. Not to start the story, it can be the opening sentence of the story or their piece of non-fiction writing, or it can be anywhere through it. Sentences that begin with adverbs, like cautiously, she peeked through the window. Or they love ing words, holding her breath, she unlocked the door. It just allows them to write sentences that don't begin with the and then.
And they
yet.
forget, without having this, they forget that they're able to do that.
They do, and in class we will learn these individually, build them up until we'll have children who can use all of these types of writing in one piece of writing. But I know that some of the children, we talked about these in the pack and they were really excited these were going home, so I think we're going to have some writers at home with you now. We've just got a short video of some children using this resource.
I want to do some creative writing, but I don't know how to start it. Well, we can start with an adverb and connect it. Here's an adverb sentence. Cautiously, she peeked through the window. And a connected sentence. Although she was tired, Leah pushed onwards.
Okay, so these are some resources which aren't actually in your pack, and I'm not going to go into too much detail about them because it will be covered in the digital workshop provided by Miss Shepherd. So the children are used to using these websites as well. So we've got Bug Club, which is great for reading. The books have comprehension questions all the way through, which helps with their understanding.
Don't forget to press those bugs when they're reading a
Yes,
page, that's where the questions are.
Next slide. There's Oxford Reading Owl, which the children don't have their own passwords for, but as a parent you can create your own account, and there are a wide range of books available. I can't remember how many was there.
There's 250 usually. During lockdown they actually extended that to 400 books. So if we were ever to go into a period, I think they work very closely with schools and they put more books, but 250 is going to take them a while to get through.
Definitely.
And they're all age banded. Sometimes they want to read things though that are lower than their age. Sometimes they want a challenge, and that is absolutely fine. If they go in there and say, oh, this was my favourite book when I was in, don't stop them reading it, because very often we say, make the book a little easier and then upskill them on the comprehension.
Yes.
So getting back to that bit when you can really think about what the characters are doing, would they have behaved in the same way as that character? If not, why? Why did they think this character did that? Did they think the ending was good? Would they have rewritten it? It gives you those opportunities when the text is not too challenging for them to read. I know as grown-ups, if we had to sit every night decoding every word, we probably wouldn't read our books. So reading a book that has some challenge but not too much is the perfect pitch really for reading.
And again, if you struggle to think of those questions, they're available on the sheet and on those reading cubes. Next slide. Hub is a great online tool, lots and lots of different things you can do on there.
J2 Easy Tab, isn't it, on there, which they really want to go into and explore at home.
Yeah, next slide. Google Apps for education. Lots of things that you can do on here with Google Slides, Google Docs, and obviously the Google Classroom, which we use regularly to put work on, which if we go into lockdown again or any smaller lockdown, then lots of the work will be posted there. Next slide. And ReadyWriter. ReadyWriter is a great way to practice spellings. We will be posting the spellings on there. You can use it in conjunction with Mathletics, so if your child logs on to Mathletics, this tab here will flick back and forth between Mathletics and ReadyWriter.
And the great thing on here is they're playing games to develop their spellings.
So don't realise they're learning again.
Each one of these they click on and it opens another icon or another section of icons. Some of them they can just listen to the words, some of them breaks the word up so they can see the actual sounds that are within that word. Lots of games then to practice it. Gives them a little test at the end. They're still not really sure they're having a test, they just think they're playing a game. So it is a great resource and your teachers will put their spellings on there for you to reflect what they're doing in class. Next slide please. Finally, our school website has past test papers on there. Now, we don't want everybody to rush out and spend every day doing test papers. We absolutely appreciate that as parents, going for walks, when you can go back to them, places like museums and parks and different places are great things to do with your children. These are ideas, easy ideas that can help you when you're doing your reading and spelling. But it may be that every now and again, to all these skills they're learning through these packs, you want to open up a past paper in reading. When they come to do the maths, there's maths as well, but the reading, and just have a go at their age group and see how they're going and how they're consolidating their reading. Next slide, please. Okay, if you could click forward for me. So this slide, we've just popped it in. We won't go through it too much, but it just shows you how much time they spend at home with you. They spend a lot of time in school. They're here for around 6 hours, 6.5 hours a day, and that's quite intense. When they come home, and weekends and holiday times, they're actually spending 5,331 awake hours on average a year with you. So we're hoping that these little packs will just give you an idea when you think, right, we need to practice a bit of reading, we need to practice a bit of spelling. Where do I start? This is what this is designed to do, because we appreciate the job that you do at home and how much that develops the children as a whole.
And hopefully they'll be able to find ways to slot it into everyday life. You don't want it to be an onerous task for you.
Next slide, please. And finally, we've just put this slide on just to show you. I know that it's very anxious times for some people, especially if your child has to isolate when their class is still in school. Sometimes we may have to isolate a whole class. We've been very lucky that that hasn't had to happen in our Key Stage 2 especially. And I was going to say, and hopefully this whole school closure lockdown, we won't experience anything like we did last year again, but we've put provision in place. So if that does happen, you've got a clear understanding of what we would do to provide for your child at home. This one is probably the most likely to occur more regularly, where you or your family member has had to isolate, or you or your family member has been ill and so your child is isolated. Every week we provide that menu of on the boil ongoing activities, but most of what we do in the classroom, when we use a Google Classroom activity, that can be done at home. So if your child's not in and there's something on the Google Classroom that's been posted by Miss Burrs, Miss Nelson, Mrs Mackenzie or myself, your child can carry on with that at home. It reflects whatever we're doing in school that week, because the children in school will be doing that activity.
There's always instructions, but obviously if they are stuck or not quite sure, they can send us a message on that assignment, and we can...
Maybe not at 9 o'clock at night.
No.
I had lots of messages last night about thank you for an activity they'd done during the day, which was lovely, but sometimes we may not respond at 9 o'clock at night. There are also literacy and numeracy packs available in the school office. If you're isolating, obviously it may be that you need to send somebody else up to get those for you. And then if it goes into a class lockdown, it will be much more like it was back at the end of our longer lockdown period, when you had the weekly tasks with little videos explaining each task to you, and then the child being able to do those tasks either on Google Classroom or Seesaw or on paper. That's also fine. If you're thinking, right, we've read the task but we want to write it, that's not a problem at all. You can do that. And again, that would be very similar, that if we went into whole school, there would also be video calls like we did. And I know this year 4 absolutely loved the videos last year, especially when we had the quizzes and they got to show what they'd been doing at home. So if the whole school was to go into lockdown, that would happen alongside the menu of activities. I'd like to thank you very much for listening to us this afternoon. I'll let you into a little secret. This is our second time of recording because the first time didn't work. So we hope you've enjoyed it. And just to say again, I know all the teachers have said it during Parents' Evening, we are always here for you. If you're confused about any of this and you want to ask us a question or a general question about the class, albeit at a distance, we are still there on the yard at the end of the day, and we can answer any questions that you've got. We would much rather sort those straight away. Thank you for listening. Enjoy your packs. Don't forget to come in and get them. And there is also, I forgot to mention, a whiteboard and a pen. So all of the activities in here, the children can use on here as well. If if you're finding it hard to find a bit of paper at that moment that they want to do it, which is usually at the moment when you're busiest and making tea. Thank you very much.
Thank you.